On Her Majesty's Secret Service is one of the most recognisable titles in the Bond back catalogue. Non-Bond fans are even familiar with the title and where it comes from, so you can imagine that On Her Majesty's Secret Service must be remembered for far more than just its title. Unlike many Fleming novels, this one was actually adapted for the big screen. In 1969, 6 years after the publication of the novel, George Lazenby's first and only Bond adventure premiered. The film sticks fairly loyally to the source material. A few scenes that were in the novel don't appear in the film, but the story is very much the same aside from these relatively minor changes. Once again, Bond begins the story in a bit of a mood. He's fed up with the life of a spy. Now, this has happened before in previous Bond novels, but not to this extent. This character arc works in the story's favour, as Bond finds himself on a mission far harder than he could have imagined. Bond has spent a great deal of time on a mission looking for Blofeld, ever since the events of Thunderball. Blofeld and Spectre appear to have vanished, but obviously they haven't. Thunderball appears to have had a huge impact in-universe, a larger impact than when the story was actually happening. Tracy is, as we all know, the Bond girl of this story. Tracy is a sympathetically written character and is far more interesting in the first few moments we meet her than many Bond girls have been in entire novels. Bond's fascination in Tracy is understandable and drives a sizable portion of the story. Unlike several Bond girls who are damsel in distresses, Tracy doesn't seem reliant on Bond. Bond's visit to the College of Arms in London is fantastic, with little details about Bond's own heritage being revealed against Bond's own wishes. The dialogue is brilliant, as Bond didn't come to the College of Arms for Who Do You Think You Are. This novel isn't a comedy, but this chapter is mildly amusing. Once things move on to Blofeld and the wider mission again, the more serious tone returns. But for this brief moment, the humour and dialogue worked very nicely. Bond's time impersonating Sir Hilary Bray at Peace Gloria is the best section of the novel without question. Initially, Bond does rather well, I think, but as his time at Peace Gloria goes on, he starts slipping up. Perhaps in small ways, but enough to raise suspicions. This whole section of the novel is masterfully done. It's tense and suspenseful. Bond is a genuinely good spy as well here, squashing any previously held beliefs that he's actually a pants spy. Irma Bunt is prominent during this segment and is well written. Her interactions with Sir Hilary, are among the highlights of this portion of the novel. Bond is not the only one under a different name. So is Spectre's very own Blofeld. Blofeld is living under the pseudonym of Comte Balthazar de Belleville, otherwise known as the Count. Blofeld and Bond's interactions, whilst they are both under false identities, were brilliant. Blofeld is a fairly well-written adversary and is given far more involvement in the narrative than in Thunderball, where, aside from some great moments, he ended up being a bit of an afterthought. Here, Blofeld's a proper villain, though his scenes as the Count are brilliant, and Bond and Blofeld appear to genuinely get on here, though it's all insincere. That doesn't prevent it from being an enjoyable read. The sequence in which Bond escapes Peace Gloria is great, though a confrontation with Blofeld at this stage would have made it better, where perhaps Blofeld corners Bond and reveals his genuine identity. Bond's forced on the run, and so begins the escape sequence. But no, that doesn't happen. The escape from Peace Gloria is great though. It's tense and exciting, and Bond does seem in genuine peril, but adding Blofeld into the mix in some way would have added something more to the chapter. Bond meets Tracy in the village below Peace Gloria, and they get engaged. Bond getting engaged doesn't feel forced or random. It seems like a natural progression in the story. After this point, the novel does lose momentum a tad. The threat is still there, but reduced. The scenes here are essential, but not especially gripping to read. The main bulk of the story is over, so what happens on these pages does feel a bit like padding. Bond enlists the help of Marc Angé, Tracy's father, to take down Blofeld and Peace Gloria, as MI6 won't due to Blofeld being on Swiss soil. This section of the book plays out in much the same way as it does in the later film adaptation, though unlike in the film, Tracy is absent and has nothing to do with Peace Gloria. There is no rescue mission. It's simply Bond wanting to be the one to kill Blofeld. This ultimately comes back to haunt Bond. Blofeld escapes the attack on Peace Gloria, and soon Bond and Tracy get married, but soon Tracy is killed in a drive-by shooting. This blunt conclusion to the story works brilliantly. Had Bond not gone to Peace Gloria to try and kill Blofeld, perhaps things would have ended differently. Bond now appears to be almost a tragic character, unable to have a happy ending. So that was On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It was an exciting novel. Fleming managed to create not only a well-realised story, but also some top-notch characters. Bond goes through a proper character arc. There is no way his character can revert back to what he was before. Bond is now changed forever, and that's fantastic. Blofeld was a great villain, though a bit more of him wouldn't have gone amiss. Tracy was a brilliant Bond girl, one that is a proper character and isn't a 2D damsel in distress. On Her Majesty's Secret Service was the first Bond novel to be published after the release of Dr. No. So in a world where Bond was now on the silver screen, the novels needed to up the ante, and so they have with this wonderful entry in the series. The next novel I'll be looking at will be You Only Live Twice, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.